Hi, I'm Chelsea from Tech Diva Media, and in this video we're going to go through 4 different websites. I'm going to do a website review, and I'm reviewing them for conversion optimization. So conversion optimization is just a fancy term for basically how you get people, the traffic that comes to your website, the people that come to your website, how you get them to convert into prospects. And a convert might be, or conversion might be clicking a button, or getting them to sign up to your mailing list, or getting them to buy a product, or getting them to, say, read a specific article on your blog. Whatever action it is that you get a person to do on your site, that engagement is a conversion if they do it successfully. If they actually click through or sign up or make a purchase, that's a conversion. And so pretty much the goal of any website is for conversions, right? Because why would you have a website if you didn't want people to call you or engage with you or read your stuff or interact with you in most cases? And so the principles I'm going to point out in each of these 4 websites, I happened to search relationship coach and I brought up 4 that showed up in the organic and the ad, the paid results. And in each of these 4, I'm going to point out principles that carry across the board. It doesn't have to be relationship coaching. It can be a corporate site. It can be a site selling software. It can be a personal bio site. It can be a portfolio site, whatever. The principles carry across the board for website optimization when you're optimizing for conversions. Now, we're not optimizing for Google SEO. We're not optimizing to, say, rank for a certain keyword. That's not the goal here. The goal here is conversions. So when you're optimizing for conversions, you have to consider where your traffic is coming from, and knowing that if you're optimizing for conversions, that may or may not support the most Google friendly for Google SEO, right? So it depends on what you're optimizing for. If you're optimizing for organic search, then you might follow a different set of principles. Now, I do believe you can do both, but it's really good to know what your #1 priority is when you're creating the design and writing the content for your website. So as we dive into these, the first one we're going to look at is how we love. So what I see here, what I'm going to focus on is what's above the fold. And above the fold is the term that means whatever's showing on the screen before I scroll. Now, when you're considering this, of course, there's going to be people viewing your site on multiple devices. They could be viewing it on a phone, an iPad, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, whatever. And so you're really wanting to understand what your audience or the majority of your audience is viewing your site on so that you can optimize for that. And you can find that in your Google Analytics. If you have Google Analytics installed on your site, there's a part in Google Analytics that'll show you the devices that are most commonly, that'll rank the devices that are being used and the screen sizes being used to view your site. And that's super helpful, so you know, okay, if 65% of the people are on a desktop, then I probably should optimize the site for a desktop display more so than a mobile display. Now, you've probably seen websites that have like the long scrolling homepage, for instance, and that is great if you're optimizing for mobile devices because a lot of times scrolling on a mobile device is easier than clicking, right? But if you know that the majority of your audience is on desktops, you want to optimize for that. You probably don't want a really long scrolling homepage. It's actually better to have it shorter and cleaner so that everything is almost displayed without a whole lot of scrolling, right? So if we look at these sites, we're going to consider what's above the fold and also figure that these people are probably looking into their analytics and they know the majority of their audience is coming from a particular device. In this case, what's above the fold, if we look at, we have their logo for their branding, and then we see 3 different slides that rotate. And notice there's this one of them. Now, this here, Milan and Kay speak live, that doesn't mean anything to me straight away. I don't know who they are. I don't know why I'd want to hear them speak live. I don't know what I get out of that. And you always have to be thinking what your audience is thinking is, what am I going to get out of this, right? So this doesn't do a whole lot for telling me what I'm going to get, but it does give credibility to Milan and Kay because I see that they're on stage. They're probably professionals. This shows that they're, they're not just... it just gives that credibility that they have validation that they do this for a living and they do this before crowds. So that's a really great image. Now this image, Discover Deeper, Richer Relationships, this image shows me what I'm looking for as a viewer on the site. If I come to the site, I'm probably somebody that's interested in relationships. So seeing a picture of what it is that I'm looking for, like this happy couple, is great because it lets me know I'm in the right place and that I can find that here, or at least find something about that here. And the two other taglines, besides this one that show up, or the headlines with the subheadlines, have to do with what I can find here. Discover deeper, richer relationships, with a subtitle, Discover Your Love Style. And then exclusive new resources to help you grow. And I see the products that they have. So I get a sense that they produce products, the professionals that speak on stage, and that they're offering something about relationship advice. So I get all that before I scroll. And now down here we see this big red button that says Take the Quiz. Notice how it's juxtaposed with the headline, so it's really nicely balanced. And this button is really obvious that that's probably the next action for me to take. That would be the conversion. This is what they want me to do next. And it's really obvious. Now, if I do scroll down a little bit, there's secondary information. So the primary information, the primary focus is this button. Secondarily is this next button, which is Let's Get Started. Now, tertiarily, or the tertiary information, is then these three links: their speaking schedule, their blog post, their online store. So they've done a really great job of organizing the hierarchy of information here, with the primary thing for me to do, and then the secondary information, and then the tertiary information. And it's not a very long page, right? So it's a pretty short page, so I'm guessing they know that most of their audience is on a desktop, and they're optimized for that. So they've done a really great job with that. Next, we can look at Love at First Fight. So again, this one's highly optimized for the top above the fold, right? So before I scroll anywhere, I get exactly what I'm going to get here. Fix your relationship struggles, save your marriage, and start being happy together. Pretty obvious what I'm getting here. And then I have a picture of the couple. Now notice the couple is looking at the headline. And this is really key with your images. You always want your images to enhance your message. And so the way a person in your image is looking, or the way, say, maybe you have a feather, and the way the feather, the directionality of the feather, all the subtleties of your images and the directions they're pointing add up to a more optimized page, because it affects the flow of my eye as the viewer. So when I, the viewer, come here, I naturally look where those people are looking, and I look at the headline. It's a really subtle thing. I don't do it consciously. But if you have all of your images kind of directing to your main headlines and your key points, that's going to affect the flow of a user's eye, and you want to be in control of the flow of their eye, because that's the flow of information, and it's the order of how they receive the information on your website. So ideally, you want to be in control of how they receive and the order of the information they receive on your website, so that they get your message clearly and in the way you want them to. So without scrolling, I see what I can get here, and I have a way to opt in, and I have a big green button, so it's really obvious what to do. As I scroll on down, notice there's another kind of entirely different layout. So we have this layout up here. It's like a kind of a two-column thing, and then we have a layout here that's got a headline, and then like a 2/3 and then 1/3 layout here with kind of a secondary call to action. As I scroll on down, we have a third layout here with a headline, call to action up top, then 3 columns with testimonials for credibility, these logos for more credibility, and then this layout. So notice that he breaks up the layout as I scroll down through the frames of the page. This is great because it creates visual interest. It keeps me from getting bored. It's not just a bunch of text down on a page. It's visually interesting, so it keeps it feeling kind of exciting as I scroll down. So I keep getting more information. It stays fresh, and it allows me, or it encourages me to keep scrolling. And notice his color scheme. So he's really chosen kind of 2 main colors here, the blue and the green. He has a little bit of yellow, like a hint of yellow as his highlight, but mostly it's the green on the buttons and then blue as his color, his main accent color, and then like black and white. And even the images are pretty complementary to that color scheme. Same thing over on How We Love. We've got the red, the tan, and the blue are their colors. They don't even have black and white. It's mostly red, tan, and blue. So notice the simplicity of having only 2 colors, or 2 colors and an accent color, or black, white, and a color. The simplicity of that really helps your message and the content to shine, versus having a bunch of different images with a bunch of different colors and different color text and headlines and different color buttons. When you start to have all the different colors, it desaturates your message, because there's so many conflicting colors that it all kind of blends together. So when you limit it and you keep it focused on just 2 or 3 main colors, or 1 main color with like a highlight color and then like black and white, for instance, then you really drive the focus and it looks clean and tied together. So this is something that's a really common beginner mistake, and it's something I've done for years, is use way too many colors in my designs. I'll use several different shades of blue, and then use an orange, and then a yellow, and then a red. You don't want to do that because it all starts to desaturate the message. So you really want to focus on keeping 2 and maybe a 3rd highlight color for your color schemes. Now let's look at this next one. This one is Sam Owen Relationship Coach, relationshipscoach.co.uk. Now in this one, now notice his call to action. Like I know he's a relationship coach, and I guess this is kind of credibility with a testimonial here without me scrolling, but the first offer is to book a consultation. Now, I'm not sure why I want to book a consultation because I don't know what he does. I mean, okay, he's a relationship coach, but I don't know what I'm going to get out of a consultation and how long is it, and it's like it's too early to ask me that. It's like going on a first date and having somebody immediately say, hey, you know, my name's Joe, want to go home with me right now? Like, it's like, whoa, like that's way too fast. I don't know anything about you yet, right? So you don't want to kind of ask for a consultation before I know anything about you. So I would probably change that. Now, down here, let's see, common issues clients seek my help with. Now, that's a slightly awkward sentence. I would probably change that to common issues I can help you with, right? Improve your relationships with yourself and others. Yeah, I might work with that. The wordsmithing there is a little awkward. So I would probably say common issues I can help you with. Here's how I can improve your relationship with yourself and others. And then have these blurbs. Now notice there's a lot of colors going on here. So there's orange, there's this teal, he's got his logo with a bunch of colors. Then there's a yellow down here. All these logos have colors. Then his images have lots of colors. And we have all this. Like there's so many different colors, and then a pink. Like there's a lot of colors here. So notice how it looks a little bit less tied together than like this one, for instance, right? And notice the effect that all those colors have. And I would change his call to action. So the call to action right now is book an appointment. I would change it to something like, you know, get a free PDF or get a free video or get a free course or something there that I get something first as a visitor rather than pushing what you have to offer. So you always want to have a pull on the homepage, not a push. So feel the difference here with the Love at First Fight. This is a pull. It's, yeah, yes, send me solutions, right? So I'm going to get something here, right? So it's a pull on how we love. Take the quiz. It's a pull. I get to be pulled in. On this one, book an appointment or book a consultation. It's a push. He's pushing for me to do something. So that push-pull, it's a subtle thing, but it's a big deal. And people won't respond to a book a consultation if they don't know you. Cold traffic, probably 9 times out of 10, will not respond to that. Especially if they've never heard of you before. Maybe they've seen him on stage. Okay, maybe they might come here and book a consultation. But if his traffic is coming only from or primarily from, say, he has speaking events and people come to the site after they've seen him, that's a different story. They might already know him. Maybe they want to book a consultation. So you got to know where your traffic is coming from and how familiar they are with you when they land here. In these two cases of these other sites, I would say that the traffic is probably, they're getting their cold traffic. Like they showed up in the search results and organic search results. So I'm guessing that the traffic that lands on these sites is usually organic search traffic. They don't know who these people are. So they have to pull them in, right? So I need to be pulled in as a viewer to this site because I have never heard of this person before. I don't know what he's offering. And so this is pulling me in to start to figure that out. So you really want to know where your traffic is coming from. Now our final example here, this is Shelly Pumphrey. So I clicked an ad that showed up on the search results when I searched relationship coach and I got this. Now I'm not really sure what I'm getting here. Like I'm not sure if it's coaching or a product, or let's see, I see retreats here. So I don't really know what it is exactly. I do see authentic dating. So maybe it's about dating, right, rather than relationships. But this tagline, like, that's really tiny, so I'm not even hardly going to read that. And be brave, be you, be loved. I don't really know what that means. Like, I don't know what she's offering. And this image of her, while it is an image, I'm assuming of her, it doesn't, like, I don't know who she is, so it doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't resonate with me because I don't know who she is. Now, if it was a picture of a couple, like maybe on their first date, that would be a picture of something I could relate to because it's something that I want. So it's like my dream come true. And if I see a picture of what I want when I land on the site, then I'm usually more convinced that I'm in the right place. So like in the case of Love at First Fight, for instance, that's probably what I want if I land on this this site, so I know I'm in the right place. Here I don't get that feeling because I don't know who she is or what she's offering. So I would probably change that image. And her call to action, I would reduce the height of this so that the call to action is above the fold. Now, again, I'm looking on a laptop. She might be optimizing for a different size screen, but I would pull this up. Now, she is offering a quiz rather than like book an appointment, so that's cool. And then she's got her credibility logos. They all seem to have the credibility logos, which is always great. Now she's got another call to action that has the same, my electricity is going on and off right now. She's got the same priority in the hierarchy of the information. So if this is the call to action, that's the primary call to action, then this one is probably the secondary call to action, but they both feel the same. They feel of equal importance. So I would make this one, I would probably change the color of the background of this section and make it like maybe a dark blue or something to complement her colors, or black or something, so it really stands out as the primary call to action, and then this would be like the secondary call to action. So it's a really obvious distinction, just like we saw over here on the primary and secondary calls to action, right? So it's all these little factors that come into play. Now if I scroll down, this font is so thin that I don't really read it. Like it's, especially if I squint, the contrast is so low, and it looks like kind of hand-drawn, so it doesn't feel like that there's like this kind of confidence in the energy of that font, or there's not like a presence to it. It's more of a kind of a wispy font that's a little more subtle and gentle. And that font can be totally appropriate depending on what her content is. I would say more of like a spiritual or like a kid's site or something that's you want to be a little more playful, a little more whimsical. I would use that font. In this case, if she is helping people with dating advice, you want to know you can trust her. So she wants to have a font that's more bold and has that kind of conservative, like you can trust me, solid, secure feeling to it. And this one doesn't really have that. So I would change the font. I would also make it bolder so it would stand out more. Now down here, we're getting her blog posts with some images. But again, notice, okay, so this is a long scrolling site. I don't exactly know what all I'm getting here. I guess, I mean, it's mostly some information here and then her blog. So it's not really directed to getting me to take action, so it's not really optimized to get me to convert, versus, say, this one, where it's optimized to get me to take the quiz, or this one, it's optimized to get me to opt in. This one's kind of, it's a little more wishy-washy, so I would be really clear, and I would make it not so long and scrolling, and I would probably feature a couple blog posts, but not just have a running blog, because you can't control the content that shows in your homepage if you just have your running blog posts showing up. You want to have the most dynamic, the most interesting content on the homepage so that people are convinced to click forward. If it's always rotating your latest blog post, that may or may not be your most convincing stuff. So I wouldn't have it just randomly rotating your recent blog posts. Anyway, these are a few examples just to get you started. If you have a website that's pretty, but it's not really performing for you the way you want, it's not drawing in new prospects, you can check out my website at techdivamedia.com and see some of our projects and see more tips on our blog. You can also subscribe to my channel to stay updated with optimization tips for your website. And I really appreciate you watching this video and leave any comments below. Thank you.